he needs to.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best if we can figure out how to do that.
Well, I can post it on the go to Hams on the Go YouTube. We
Right.
We got a YouTube channel.
That'd work.
So I posted on the YouTube channel. I can post it on. I got the one from Tuesday, so I can post it on the YouTube channel and then link it back to the website.
Okay. Let's put the show on the road here. What's that?
I made a PowerPoint with lots of pictures.
For logging. Kathy's got a logging one.
And bonuses.
Oh, bonuses.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that after this?
I just don't know how to share it and all that, but.
Oh yeah, that's easy. That's the easy part.
Okay, good.
All right. Field day. It's coming up June 27th, 28th. We all know that. Getting excited about it.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, yay. We were going to, I'm going to go too fast here. So eligible stations. There's A through F. I got definitions for each one of these things. So there's Class A battery, Class B battery, Class C, Class D, Class E, and Class F. Each one represents a different station. We'll start off with Class A. It's a pretty common one because a lot of clubs like to get together on field day and rack up points so basically this one is a club. It's a non-portable. It's basically it means that we're going out someplace on a remote location. We're not. So if you have if you're in a club and you have your radio station set up and you guys meet in a room and it's the permanent station with permanent antennas and all that stuff, that's going to be a different class. Class A is has to be located in a place that's other than your regular location, and it's also you use like an auxiliary type power, so no wall plugs and things like that. It has to be done such as a generator, solar power, that sort of thing. And it's very popular. You're going to be hearing a lot of Class A's on field day. The only difference between Class A and Class A battery is just the wattage difference. Kathy mentioned the other night that there's also a points advantage too. But with 5 watts, I mean, we're talking basically using your your hand talkies, and you're not going to get out too far. You're going to get a lot of local stuff. I'm sure it's kind of fun for, if you want to really challenge yourself. Crazier things have been done on low wattage, so if you have a big enough antenna, you can make it work. But this is not the station that we're going to be running. We're going to be running Class A because we're going to be probably using our full 100 watts that our radios will allow us to use. But that's the only difference between Class A and Class A battery is just the wattage allow. In Class B, 1 or 2 person portable field day station set up and operated by no more than 2 people. Other provisions are the same for Class A except not eligible for the GOTA and VHS station. To get on the air station, it's usually kind of your public station. If you're only doing 1 or 2 people, then clearly you're not going to be really open to the public and having something set up and all that kind of stuff, and you're not going to be running the VHF, UHF. So you're just going to be running HF. You're going to be in a situation where you're not going to be at home, things like that. You're going to be still out in the field and all that. Class B is not as popular. I haven't seen too many of them. Class C, that's basically a mobile station. So if you have a portable mobile station in your car in your RV, your boat, whatever. Sometimes those radios will get up to 50 watts. My mobile station in my truck, I can get up to 80 in that thing. And so it's still remote, obviously. It's your alternator in your vehicle is considered emergency power because you are basically using your engine in your vehicle as a generator to generate the power to charge a battery to run your radio. So that's all good stuff. So if you plan on working out of your radio station out of your car, you would classify yourself as a Class C station. Class D. This is the new popular one this year. It's not new. Class D's always been around, but the difference is this year is because of COVID-19 and a lot of the restrictions of people staying home. They're allowing Class D stations, home stations that are running off of home power 110 or 120 to make contacts this year and get points for it. The biggest difference is before you weren't able to make a point with the one Class D making a contact with another Class D. Now they're allowing it this year, and I think that alone is really going to open up a lot of traffic this year. I'm expecting that there's going to be a lot of Class D stations, a lot of people working from home, and it's. I was talking to Ken about it the other night, and it's kind of like it's going to be either a really good thing or a really bad thing. It could be a really good thing because that's going to make it more people to make contacts with, and that's usually a lot more exciting. Or it's going to be more really big guns out there, booming the waves and making it harder to break through. So it's yet to kind of see how this is going to play out, but we're definitely going to see a lot of Class D stations. That's my prediction anyway, being that they changed the rules for this year only. Next year, if all this coronavirus stuff clears up, and it'll go back to the normal Class D rules, which a D can't make a point for another D, basically. All right, Class E, home stations, emergency power. It's the same as Class D, except you unplug it from the wall and you somehow reroute that power to a battery source. There's a little bit of controversy on this one because some people will maybe have a battery setup that's charged with the wall plug, and then as soon as field day starts, they unplug it, and there you go, they got their battery. So, but who knows how that really goes. But the idea is they want you can still work at home, your home station, home antenna, all that stuff. They just don't want you plugged in the wall. They want you to be able to set that thing up on a generator or a solar system or something like that. I kind of got a little elaborate the other night talking about solar systems in the house. If you're familiar with how solar systems work in the house, they are all still tied into the grid. So I'm not sure if that really technically classifies, but I don't know the letter of the rule for that one. There's not very many people, at least in California, that don't have solar panels that are not still tied into the grid because there's a law about that. So if you can disconnect yourself from the grid somehow, which I don't think you can, or you're basically not allowed to. But if you could do that, then you would solely be on solar power, batteries, and that would be the definition of what Class E would represent and what they're trying to represent. Basically simulating an emergency situation where there is no power. Class F, Emergency Operations Center. You can read this, but this is would be the example of working at a hospital that already has a station set up at the hospital for emergency communications. Maybe a local CERT club, or not really CERT club, but a CERT. I can hear in Laverne at the fire department, they have a bunch of radios set up in the upstairs classroom and you know, they can basically that the city cert can invite people over and they can say, hey, we're going to participate in field day this year, and you can use our facility. That would be a classification, a class app. They're running off of their power. They're using their radios, but those radios are permanently there and they're established for emergency situations. So there's different places like that. I can't think of all the names of them, but some like the hospital in Pomona has one set up, and I know that the fire station in Laverne has it set up for their cert. I believe Ontario has one too for their cert program. Okay, I want to go over a quick typical QSO that you'll hear on field day. It's not always cut and dry exactly like this. There's probably several different variations of how it goes, but one thing that I emphasize is it's usually very quick. There's not a lot of chit chat going on, and it's just an exchange of information, and they move right on. This example that I have here would be me trying to work a station. Ken, he's sitting on a frequency, and he's got, you know, and he's just calling out CQ field day, Kilo Charlie 6 Whiskey Oscar Kilo, giving out his call sign, and he's just re-saying it over and over and over again until somebody responds to him. If he's getting out really clear and loud, you'll get what they have call a pile up, where as soon as he takes his finger off the PTT switch, everybody at the same time is calling back their call sign and waiting for a response to see who he hears. So as he's doing this, he's calling out CQ field day, and then you hear me. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm working the station. I'm going to come back with our call sign, the club call sign, Whiskey Golf 6 Oscar Tango Alpha. And then if Ken responds, I copy Whiskey Golf 6 Oscar Tango Alpha over. Now in courtesy, everybody else should quiet the frequency, because they didn't call out their call sign, but he called out my call sign, so that I know that he's acknowledging me. So I made it through that pile up, and now I'm going to be the one that's going to make that quick exchange with him. So I'm going to say, that's a good copy. You got my call sign right, and he's already got that written down, and I need to tell him where I'm at. I'm a 1 Alpha LAX. So the 1, we're just a single station. We're an Alpha. That's the club station that's running on auxiliary power, and we're located in LA, the LA region, which is LAX. And I have a WAS map that I'll show you all the different areas that you're going to see for field day, and we'll go through all that in a little bit. So then Ken's going to come back to me, and he's going to say, I copy 1 Alpha LAX. And then he's going to possibly repeat his call sign again. This is Kilo Charlie 6 Whiskey Oscar Kilo. I'm 1 Delta LAX 73s. And then I might respond 73s, good luck, in the QSO. And then he's going to go right back to the top again, CQ field day, Kilo Charlie 6 Whiskey Oscar Kilo. And then somebody else is going to be right on it, you know. So then there goes a pile up again. Let me go back a little bit. Once when he copies the 1 Alpha LAX, I need to get that information from him before it goes on. If there's a lot of white noise or picket fencing or any kind of static in between, it's going to be difficult for me. Even though maybe he got my information, I may not get all of his information. So what I do, and what I've done in the past, is I carry no, I don't carry, but I have a little notepad. And what I'm doing is I'm listening to him call out the CQ field day over and over again, and listening to other people make that contact. I can already get the information that I need from that. If I'm breaking through the noise and it's not an easy to hear, I might get the 1 Delta, but I can't figure out where the heck he's at, because maybe it just gets too scratchy when he's got an accent and he's saying blah blah blah, and he's trying to say LAX, but I can't hear it. But if I hear it enough times with other people making contacts with him, eventually I'm going to know that, okay, this guy is Kilo Charlie 6, Whiskey Oscar Kilo, and he's a 1 Delta LAX. So I got that on my notepad. All I need to do now is complete that contact. I need to break through the pile up, get my call sign out there, Whiskey Golf 6, Oscar Tango Alpha, and just keep trying until he acknowledges me. Once when he acknowledges me, if he ever acknowledges me, then I already have his information. All I need to do is make sure that he can copy mine. So then I'm going to tell him, hey, we're 1 Alpha LAX. Once when he gets my 1 Alpha LAX, and I know that he's got a good copy, he's going to come back with his information, but I already got it, 73s and good to go. And that's the end of the QSO. So that's typically how it goes. Then he's going to sit there and stay on that frequency, and then I'm going to continue to move up and down the dial and, find another contact. Any questions on the QSO? Okay, cool. I think I'm actually getting a little better at this. This is only my third time. Okay, the field day log. It's going to look like this. You're going to record the frequency, the mode, the date, the time, station worked, and the exchange received. All of these are important, but the two most important ones that Kathy and Ken pointed out is the station worked and the exchange received at the end. That's the information that you're shooting for. The other stuff you can kind of already sort of have pre-filled out. The frequency, you don't have to write down the exact frequency in the band that you're on. If you're in the 40 meter band, that's all we need to know. So that makes it a heck of a lot easier because, no, sorry about that. That's my friendly every 20-minute metro link going by. So all we need is just the band that you're in. So that's basically what frequency means. It doesn't mean the exact point frequency. The mode, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think you could put single sideband. I don't think you have to really, I just kind of got in the habit of doing, lower sideband, when we're, lower than 40 meters or 40 meters and lower, and then, anything 30 and up, we'll just do upper sideband. But I think if you put single sideband and just kind of laid it at that, you'd probably be all right. I don't think it has to be exactly specified. If you had to go to station, then you want to make sure you want to get that FM on there. Record the date and the time. Now the time is UTC. We're going to have clocks at the stations at the park when we set up for field day. So I'm going to bring mine, and I know Kathy mentioned that she has one too, maybe a couple of them, and so we'll be able to actually record the UTC time. If you don't have it around, or it's late, or the battery dies, or whatever, I mean, you can put 6 o'clock p.m. and Kathy said she'll go ahead and fix that later on.
Mark?
Yeah.
So if the time is UTC, then obviously the date should be also, correct?
Yes. So what happens is when that thing kicks over at 0000 hours, that's when the day changes. So it won't be midnight our time. It'll be 0000 hours UTC time, and then it would be the 27th.
Yeah, it'd be 5 o'clock in
Which
the
is
afternoon.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in the
Because
afternoon.
ours is 1:37 right
That's when
now.
your date changes.
Yeah.
But we're going to know that when you if someone puts in, if you do regular time, put in an AM or PM.
Yeah.
And if you put in 5 p.m. and it has that other date,
I'll
she's
just
going to know that
convert it.
date turns over.
Right. If you want to do it, our time, we can fix it later.
Change the date. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be able to fix it later. But yeah, it is important to put AM and PM, please, because that'll help out a lot. Because if there ever was a discretion about something or whatever, they got to try to narrow it down within a few minutes of when the contact was made with the other person when they're recording their contact, and it makes it a lot easier to find through the time frame.
Because if we do that AM PM on standard time, then we kind of get it. On the UTC, it doesn't really matter. You're going to run 24-hour clock, and we'll get it by what else is there.
Right. It's yeah. That's why the military uses it, because there's no mistake.
I have to comment that if you're working from home for some reason, there are plenty of websites out there that have UTC time clocks on them.
Yep. I have an app on my phone. You know, there's lots of ways to do it, but if it's just easier for you to work in, you know, regular, you know, specific time here, that's fine. We'll work around it. But those things are not as critically important. It's more important later on when we got to try to, like I said, if there was a discretion, it's easier to narrow down the time. But that's all that's really for. But the most important thing is we want to get that station worked, and we want to get that exchanged received for their location. That's very.
And I think you said, Mark, that on the time, yeah, the other columns like the frequency, the mode, maybe you don't need endless detail, but the time you'd like to be pretty close to correct, just in case there ever were a check, correct?
Right.
Yeah, within a couple minutes.
Yeah, within a couple minutes, because that's how they're going to track it.
Very
You know,
good.
they're going to look up that call sign, and then they're going to look at the time that he was running that station. And if he got your call and you got his call, and it's within that few minutes, that's a good QSO right there. And if there is any other doubles or any things like that, then they can scratch those out. Because doubles happen. You know, you got different people working the station, different voice. They don't, you know, you start getting, you know, a couple pages of logs, and, you know, you'll work the same guy twice. You may even have a guy come back and says, oh, I already worked WG6 TA, you know, I already got them. But here's the cool thing that you got to know about that. If you work a guy on 40 meters, and then let's say, you know, the night goes on and his 40 meters is starting to die out where he's at, because maybe he's on the East Coast and he bumps up to 80, and you hear that same call sign, the same guy, and this has happened, and you're up on 80 meters, you can work them again. That's a good contact. So that counts.
You can work a single call in each band, each mode.
That's
And
correct.
in fact, if you are running multiple bands, a lot of times people will ask you, do you have another band? And you can say, yes, I have this band, and would you go up there and work me on it? A lot of guys will do that, especially on VHF, UHF.
Yeah, especially when you're running FM, because it's really easy to keep the fly over there.
Let's not really say that, because
Yeah,
that's spotting, and spotting's not allowed.
right. So, and you actually won't hear that too much on field day, you know, but you will hear the same guy, you know, running the station for quite a few hours sometimes, and you'll pick him up. And if he does kind of say, hey, I already worked you, just be courteous and be like, well, okay, sorry, you know. But you know, usually you can kind of keep track that, you know, and I don't think you worked me because nobody's worked 80 yet, and so maybe you can kind of explain that to them. You will have some small conversation, especially if it does get kind of slow and there's not a lot of pileups going on. Sometimes you can have a quick exchange, you know, just kind of give a good signal check. You know, he might ask, hey, you know, I'm hitting, maybe he's finally hitting California for the first time all night, and he might ask for a quick signal check. And so, you know, exchange that information. That might help him out a little bit. It might help you out a little bit too. Just, you know, asking the same thing. It says, hey, how we reaching Michigan tonight? You know, is it clear? Is it, you know, are we getting you know, is it a 1 or a 5? You know, what's going on? So sometimes you can get that. You know, everybody's pretty courteous, even though they're kind of contesting. There's still time to sometimes get a little courtesy in there and maybe get a little signal check. So this is the work all stations map. The you know, in higher density populated states, you know, they break them up into a little bit more. Obviously, California's probably got the most sections than any other state. And Arizona is going to be AZ, for instance. So the whole state, if they come back with a 1 Delta AZ, then you know that that guy has one station, he's at home, and he lives in Arizona somewhere. California is a little bit different. You know, we got a lot more population density. So there's an Orange County that the ORG is going to cover all of San Bernardino and Riverside and Santa Ana, Orange County area. We're going to be in LAX here in San Dimas. And then I think there's 7 other different locations just in California alone. Texas is split up into 3 sections. There's west, north, and south. And so that kind of helps, you know, narrow it down a little bit to where your signal's going. Florida's got a few. They got their northwest and south as well. And but then for the most part, you know, if you get Ohio, you know, then, you know, it's the whole state. It's not broken up. So that's all the different areas that you're going to be seeing on field day. We've got Hawaii. There's also Canada. We did hit Canada a couple times last year. And I believe we got Michigan and a few others on the East Coast. So, and last year's propagation was just pretty bad. It was pretty rough. We didn't have good sunspots last year. We didn't have nothing in sunspots last year, so it was hard to work a lot of stations, but we still had a lot of fun anyway. But anyway, that's what all of this is. So then you're going to get stuff coming back, you know, maybe 3 Alpha CO. Well, that's going to tell you that there's 3 stations. They're a club, and they're in Colorado, as an example of that. So is there any questions? Wow, I must be doing really, really good this time. Awesome. That's pretty much it. I can send this PowerPoint to anybody who wants it. I think I'm going to try to figure out how to if this is being recorded, we could probably get this up on our, we have what is that, Ken? I still haven't even seen it yet. It's a YouTube channel, right?
It's a YouTube channel. Go to Hams on the Go.
Go to Hams on the Go. I'm sorry, I've yet to even look at that, and I'm so embarrassed to say that, but I just.
That's okay. I don't think we've got much on there right now.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have anything on there right now.
Are we going to be using logging software?
We've got both options.
Yeah. Until they come up with one that I can figure out.
Oh no, that N3FJP is it's exceptionally easy to figure out, and once it's connected to the other ones, you'll know if anybody's actually worked it and on what band by just all you got to do is start to type in a portion of their call sign. That's going to come up. It's going to give their designator if one of our other stations has done it and logged it on the software, and so it'll automatically fill it out, but it'll pop up red if it's been done on that band.
Yeah, there's so many cool things using logging software. It has all the potential to be just really great. I mean, it shows you have doubles. It you know, they usually have where you're at. There, you know, where the person's at. I mean, it's just really, really cool. The problem is every time in the past I've tried to download the software, man, it just plays havoc with everything. And then I just get frustrated, and then I'm like, okay, I'm back to my notepad and piece of paper and
Perhaps I can help.
good old pen and paper. Yeah, you know, I think we were talking about this a few months ago about making a program, or if you did you make a program? A logging?
Well, for logging our nets, I have one, yes, on the web. That's something a little bit different than what the N3FJP program is, but because it's on the web. But
right.
But the FJP, you just put it on there. Go to it's a particular part of it. Each one loads differently. Each portion of it loads differently. You put on all you do is you put it on a computer with the with the field day with their field day software, and then you just all the computers, you have them logged into the same network and put the database on a shared drive. So that's all you have to do. Once you do that,
You just send it.
automatically works across the whole deal. And it's honestly, as far as logging goes, it's the easiest field day logging software there is. It's
Ken already
really,
knows how to work it. He
it's
has it
pretty,
everything right.
it's pretty simple.
Well, you got me curious. I would love to try something that works.
If you've got a radio with a cat connection, you can link it in, and it'll tell you, it'll actually log the exact frequency. It'll do the time automatically. If someone else has worked that station, it gives you their designator and everything, and it comes up a little orange or yellow color, to say we've worked that station, but it's on a different band that we worked it, and it pops up red if
That's
you worked
great.
it on that band. So, okay, move on. And that's
Right.
why you hear a lot of these guys saying, we already worked you, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
They're real fast at it. They're running the, I think it's N9?
N3FJP.
It's not a
Is it
6,
N9?
is it?
Oh, it's not? I thought it was.
It's an
Maybe I'm wrong.
N9? What is it? I forgot what it was. I
I'll
know
look
it's
it up.
FJP. Everyone just calls it FJP.
What
But
do you want, the
He
login
started out with
software?
this particular piece of software working on field day, and he's created a whole bunch of different groups of software for
N3FJP.
N3FJP.
Ah, yes, it's N3. You're right.
So it's the most popular one, and it's honestly it's the only one that's really easy. If you're using contesting software, it's a little bit complicated, especially like N1MM, these DXers. This is not that. This is something different. So
Yeah.
the hardest part of it is
totally
setting up
different
the
animal.
computers. And I've got a handful of laptops. We can do it on the majority of the stations. But if we're running 6 stations, it won't really work that way. And it's when you're running CW, you don't want to do logging software work in CW. That's way too complicated. Unless you've got a logger that understands CW. So as long as you keep it with the voice stations, and then your digital stations, they can link through it or to it, but it's easier just to let your digital stations run.
Yeah. Collect the data later on that.
Well, they self-log all that stuff as long as you run them on a fresh database. A lot of people go in and they'll rename their database, put it off to the side, create a new database for their digital, so it just runs on field day, and then they'll actually merge the data later on, so they still show that logging on their software. But you can do it just for field day by just creating a fresh database for logging, and whether you're doing FT4 or RIDI or whatever. But what is it? All Joe Thomas's stuff is done that way, and there's a whole bunch of honestly, there's a bunch of Facebook groups, the FT4 group, the FT8 group, and they've got a lot of stuff about field day and how they're going to do it and how they're going to change their databases. But we can move on from that because that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
and when you're doing those exchanges, the one thing I kind of wanted to say was sometimes you'll get when there's a pileup, and that it may not go. He may not get like the guy that's calling CQ, and he's kind of taking over that section of the band. He's going to get maybe 6 people trying to call in at the same time with a call, and he's only going to hear a portion at the end. So he'll say, station ending in, you said OTA, he might only get the TA. Station ending in TA, come back.
Yeah.
So when you come back, he's expecting you to give your entire call.
Right.
Preferably phonetically. So that's going to happen because he's only going to catch bits and pieces if he's got a huge pileup he's trying to work. And that's when you get back to, okay, and if you're going to give that, if he asks for you to come back like that, you can, sometimes a lot of the guys that do it a lot, they'll give the call sign phonetically, and go ahead and give their designator right then. But usually he doesn't really want that. He'd rather hear your call sign. He'll come back with, he knows you know his call sign because you're calling him.
Right.
He's just going to tell you his designator and expect yours back.
Right.
So it'll go like that. It can be a really quick exchange, and the really seasoned guys, sometimes they're going to get a little upset, and they'll move on with, because they couldn't pick you up. And it's kind of interesting, and I never understood that. I always thought these guys were a little nuts or what was going on. It kind of makes you mad. But we had one of those guys up at our site last year, and I found out why. I get it. Okay, now I understand. Because they're picking out everything out of what sounds like spaghetti. It just sounds like a mash. And they're picking out things that I can't understand at all. So they don't have time for you to try to get perfect phonetics. So the quicker you can learn to read that oatmeal, the better. Like I say, and don't get upset. Don't get frustrated, or if the guy moves on, you didn't get it. Oh well, you'll get the next one. Just don't worry about it. Move on, and it's just a serious contester. You'll get the next guy that's not. Some of the guys are going to be really friendly and help you out a little bit, which is kind of the guy you're looking for anyway.
Yeah.
We're not super serious contesters. That we got two. Scott's a serious contester. George is a serious contester. So, and I kind of think Jack's headed that direction. So, because Jack surrounded himself with a lot of serious contesters. So we're going to have a few in the club, which is fine. We'll learn a lot from those contesters. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see we've got some of them, because we're always going to learn from them. So when we got these seasoned guys, it can be very helpful, even if you're just learning what the mindset is of a guy on the other end of that QSO.
Yeah, and be ready to hear a lot of different phonetics too. I mean, you're going to be hearing some Mary and George and just all kinds of stuff that people throw out there. We try to keep it to the standard, of our practice, but be ready for that. Not everybody uses the same phonetics, unfortunately, and
contesters are funny that way. Contesters don't stick with standard phonetics. And most of us are MCOM guys. We got into this because of MCOMs, and so we try to stick with universal phonetics.
Yeah.
Contesters do not do that.
Yeah, you're gonna hear all the Nancy's and all that stuff. So just be ready.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense why they would do that. It just makes sense to stick with the standard phonetics, so that way I know that you're saying a letter instead of something different.
Right.
Kilo, Kilo 6, Foxtrot, Victor, Papa. That's something that anybody who understands, the NATO alphabet will know what I'm saying.
Exactly. But it just never goes that smooth, and the problem is that slight delay of me trying to figure that out because they said Randy instead of Romeo. That's like 3 seconds of brain waves that I just lost forever. That I was like, wait, what? What was that? And even though Randy's pretty clear, it still didn't compute, so.
Yeah, or then you have the people that use Germany for golf, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. Are you saying the letter G, or are you saying the country that you're from, Germany?
That's so true, right?
Yeah, because we've got, in our designators in these deals, there's, if you look up that page, it shows Canadian. So we're showing about, what are we showing? I think 11 Canadian on the page. We've got a page with the designators, and it shows, it has the U.S. designators, all of them, and then it shows Canada. There's about 11 Canadian ones, and that's all part of the contest.
Yeah.
So there's that thrown in there too, because you go, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like because you kind of get used to the U.S. Designators.
Yeah.
And especially when so many of them are state by state instead of, California's got, I forgot how many we've got. We've got like, I think 7 or 9, something like that.
Yeah, we've got I couldn't see because the map was kind of a little tiny on my computer screen, and I don't exactly have the exact map.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So okay, there's 6 on the bottom of this list.
I need to get a water one.
There's 6 on Canada. One is Maritime, which is MAR, and then
Oh, that's right.
you got NL, which is Newfoundland, Ontario East, Ontario North, Ontario South. Oh no, there's more because you move over here and there's a dozen of them. Yeah, Greater Toronto, Northern Territories,
I think there's
Manitoba,
Virgin Islands too, right?
BC. Oh yeah, we do have. I forgot about Virgin Islands, and we
Yeah.
got. But I think we got Puerto Rico in here somewhere.
Yep.
But we got BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. So there's a dozen designators for Canada along with the U.S. ones.
Yeah, that's not on a WAS map. I forgot to mention that, but
You know, and you'll get those, and you go, wait a minute, what is that? And you got to look down at the bottom because you're looking all over this page to try to figure out where that designator was from to make sure you got the right letters for the correct designator when you're using this page. And this is one of the pages. This is the designator page. One of the pages that we've included with the PDFs that are actually on the website.
Yeah.
What did I say? You go to events, field day, and one of the subcategories for field day 2020, there's a group of PDFs. And this is one of them. So when you're working at home, you print these things out, and what we do on the stations up at Benelli is we hang a board and hang these designators, the WAS map. We put our call sign. We put the this is one of the things that's very helpful. Use your own, working at home, of course, use your own call. So we do the WG6OTA, but we actually have the phonetic names right in front of you. That's usually dead center. And the interesting part is, even as much of a contester as Scott is, he was the one that said, that was a great idea. Who came up with that? So, and that was something me and Kathy kind of dreamt up. But then we this one's also on there, which is the universal phonetic. So yeah, we put a phonetic page up there on our stations. So all of our stations have these things up on a board.
And the Q code.
Oh yeah, Kathy even included Q codes.
Because they say stuff in Q and you don't know what they're saying
So
unless you have
the Q codes, we don't put this one up on the board.
Right.
This is the Q codes on the back of this, but this is actually the band plan.
just in case.
Nice.
So this one we keep, on the table next to the radio.
Right.
On each station. This is, everyone's seen this one is one we bring to our In the Park days, which is Saturday will be an In the Park day up at San Dimas Canyon Park. So, and of course, Jennifer, you're invited.
Thanks.
You don't have to be a club member to join us on any one of our In the Park days. All you got to be is,
just hang out.
you don't even have to have a license. You just got to be interested in
We just
radio.
announced third party if a non-licensed is going to get on.
So, yeah, we've actually had a lot of public actually on our radios. So it's third party. So it's, those days in the park are a lot of fun. And we, as a club, last year was our first official field day, and we had people that go from field day to field day visiting locations, which probably isn't a thing this year. But we had a couple guys. Actually, one of them became a member.
Oh yeah.
But
Waterman.
but Francisco too, right?
Francisco, yeah.
So two of them. But they came up and said, "How long have you guys been doing this?" They said, "No, this is our first year." They don't, no, really. How long have you guys been doing this? Like, no, this, the thing is, I said that the difference is we've done this for, every month for a year. So we kind of have an idea what we're doing. We go out, we know what to take with us. We know how to set up a station. But that's kind of why we started the In the Park deal. Let's learn about working HF mobile, take it out, set it up, become MCOM operators. And honestly, everybody getting together in the park has become a big social event you know, even though we got that kiboshed for several months, but
Yeah, I guess that's something similar as to my field day operations. I've always operated from home under emergency power. And when I first got my ticket, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to run my station off of batteries and solar from the get-go, just in case of emergencies, because that's why I originally got into ham radio. So me operating field day, the only difference is, oh, I need to turn off my desktop computer because that's plugged into the outlet. Other than that, I'm running off of batteries and solar, same as always.
Perfect.
yeah, and
Which
that's
is,
you know
it's good, but
that's
the
the deal.
downside
And
is still,
and Mark was talking about the controversy over charging your batteries ahead of time on mains. Now the true definition in the rules says during the event.
You're right. As long
yeah,
as
and
you're
also,
not
I
So
mean,
doing
that's
there are
the-
people who
that-
have backup batteries that are set up that will switch to their backup batteries when the power goes out. So it does make sense
Right.
that it would be during the event.
Yeah, if you've got a solar system that's a backup powered solar system, you can, you know, there's a way you can drop your mains and run that. But that's you know, and that's it does, you know, in the rules, that's the one thing it does say. It says you can't charge it on mains during the event. So that those batteries can be pre-charged
Yeah.
however you're going to charge them. And
Yeah,
you know,
and my
it's
solar
not just in
panels
the language. People have actually got a hold of the ARL to ask about that, and they're really clear about that. You can charge them however you want until, you know, the
Yeah.
event starts, and then
Yeah,
it's got to be
and my
emergency
solar
power.
panels, they're just for my batteries and radio, so they're not connected to the house power. So they're just
Yes.
completely separate, and I kind of want to keep it that way, even if I do end up getting other solar panels, you know, to power my regular house stuff. I like the idea of having stuff for, you know, disasters that's like completely separate, so I don't have to rely on something else going wrong, and then I can't run my radios.
Right. That's well, we go out when we're up at field day, we run off the there's 550 watts worth of solar panels on top of the what we call the go to home. So
Groovy.
my RV, and then got about a little over 600 amp hours worth of batteries in it.
Right on.
So we can run quite a field day. And
Heck
there's a 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. So we can run pretty much anything we want off of that. But everybody, since we've done so much in the park and everyone's gotten used to working portable equipment, a handful, you know, probably a pretty good group of the people in the club have got, you know, go boxes. They got power go boxes and solar panels and all the other stuff. I've got a 120 watt foldable solar panel that was, you know, actually it was a door prize at a ham fest. So mine charges, I've watched it charge as high as 10 amps on the
Nice.
charge controller, which really surprised me that it went that far one day. But
Do you want to help me set up mine so I can show you?
Oh, and by the
Oh
way,
yeah, Kathy has a presentation. Huh?
yeah, well, let me run over to her computer.
since we were talking,
I have it up. I just don't know how to switch it.
I just downloaded the N3FJP software, installed it on my computer, and configured it for my radio, and made a couple of keystones.
Nice.
I told you
that's
it was
nothing
easy.
like the one that I tried to download last year because that was a total headache.
Oh, N1MM.
It was pretty easy, actually.
Yeah, that's right. The M1F.
We have
Yeah,
the
that one.
code- We
Oh
have
my
the
gosh.
code to this software because we paid the $50.
Yeah, we've got, yeah, and it's registered under the club call. Close this down.
So it's definitely not that hard to do.
Sure. Are you online?
Yes. That's the screen right there. See, there you are on fireworks.
Yeah, something I've been meaning to do. Not that long ago, I picked up a power wheelchair that runs off of 12-volt batteries. So I want to, you know, set up some Anderson power poles for that, so I can charge off of solar and also run ham equipment, and I can do wheelchair mobile.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
there's
cool.
the HF Pack website has a page devoted to wheelchair mobile with some ideas for that.
Yeah, those power pole, those Anderson power pole clips, they make things pretty nice to be able to
Yeah,
universally switch things
I
out.
run all my power connections with power poles.
Absolutely.
And then for solar stuff, I use a red and yellow power poles, so I can.
Oh yeah. Very cool. That's actually a good idea.
Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yay! Thank you, honey. Okay, so this is just short and sweet. It's just like Mark's, except it has some, what do I press? Just the space bar to make it go?
No, your arrow keys.
Arrow key. Okay,
Just
so there's the class codes, you know, A, B, C, D.
yeah, we did that.
Right, see, all the way to F. And then here is the exchange, and basically it's what Mark said. There's one where you're looking for the person on the radio, and then the other one's where you're waiting for the person to, or else you're calling WG6OTA and hoping somebody's going to hear you and come back. So those are the two different, they call them, what do they call them? Hunt and
Pounce.
That's what those are. And see, and there's Mark and Bob Hardcastle. And there's the frequency and the phonetics. And then the alphabet, like we talked about. And then here's the score sheet, and it's basically what Mark was talking about: frequency, mode, date, time, station worked, and exchange. And then here's your UTC clock, just in case you want to know what time it is. And here's your sections and your section map, so you kind of know. And then this is what Mark was talking about. Question? No? This is what Mark was talking about, the scratch paper. See how we just write whatever down when we're listening to the calls come in, because you never know whether or not you're going to finish that call. So like on the left there near the top, you can see that some of the calls were completed, and then the scribe was helping put down the time and what the call was, and then it gets transferred to the big sheet. So then that way there's all that information. And then here's what the score sheet usually looks like at the end. It shows you the 2 meters or the 40 meters, and then the date, and then the times as they switch. And some of them I just, if it comes in one way, regular, I just switch it over, and vice versa. And then there's the different sections and what their designators are. And here's another one that James did. So it's in a James Jensen. This was at the GOTA station, and he uses a fountain pen, so his is nice and neat. But they really, a lot of them, I'll just take whatever you guys write down as long as I can get the information. That's why I like the scratch papers. Oh, and there's the safety officer. We get 100 points for that. And there's the little form, and I'll have the forms available, so then that way we can get those signed. And then there's a radiogram that's going to be transmitted. So,
But we're looking at a little different way of doing that. We can just send out a radiogram over the air. If we do those, are 10 points. If we do 10 of those, we get the 100 points. So we can actually send radiograms out to even club members, and we're fine.
Yeah, we got to really pay attention to that one this year. We missed it last year.
Yeah, this is the special one that you and Ken were talking about, Mark, and this is just a they give it to you a certain times. I guess Ken's looking at the bottom one, which is the K6 KHP, and that only comes over in CW and digital. But the other one, I'm not sure how prepared we are to get that one.
Well, it's W1AW, which is out of Connecticut.
So,
So it's guess your best.
but if you get the message and you submit it with the paperwork, then you get 100 points.
Yeah, you were right. As long as we can get it, receive it over the air,
Right.
translate it, put it in the paper. All we have to do is include it with our paperwork
Right.
to say we received it. We get 100 points just for that.
Yeah, the other ones are you have to transmit from the site. This one is we're receiving it, we get the 100 points. And if anybody needs to know how to fill out a radiogram, I know how. But this is basically your blank one and then how it's supposed to be filled out to get your points. But I know how to do it because I've already sent one to Charles in when the Boy Scouts were at Catalina Island. So and it went through the
LA traffic manager.
Kate Hutton. She took it and she okayed it and then she transmitted it to Charles on Catalina Island. So I've already done one, but that was just a special deal. And I emailed it to her. She says during field day that you can't do that. You have to go through the WIN. What is it? The WIN link or?
It has to be, you either have to receive it or send it over the air.
Over the air.
One or the other. It's got to be either sent or received over the air.
To get the points. And then emergency power, 100 points for that. And set up in a public place, 100 points for that. See, and there's a little go box is that Bruce's go box?
Yes.
There's your go box, Bruce.
Okay.
And then if we do an educational activity with the kids, we get 100 points for that. And then
Well,
this is what?
We get 100 points also for having a youth up there under 18.
Right, I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
Working at it.
because you showed the photo, so.
Right, I have them out of order, I guess. Sorry.
James will be there again this year.
Yeah.
Yep. So we got the information table, 100 points for the information table. And we get hashtag ARRL field day. We get 100 points for that if you post it online. Oh, I missed the one. Anyway, there's a form that the parents fill out.
Go back. If you want to go back, just push the other arrow going back.
Which way? More?
What did you say? You passed it up? Did you
No,
have it?
I had it included, but it disappeared.
Oh.
This
okay.
was my first attempt, so I have the form. I just didn't print it. I mean, on here. No, it's not on here. But I had it originally. But I guess it didn't show up. Anyway, so if you do a phone contact, which is SSB, you get a point. All your contacts that are CW, Morse code, that's 2 points. And any of them that are digital, you also get 2 points for that. QRP, which is 5 watts or less, you get 5 points for those. And 100 watts or less, you get 2 points for that. So
that's your multiplier.
Right. So at the very end, they have you multiply all your different calls. And then we're not allowed to have repeaters. So, and we also have to have pictures of all of our bonuses. Take a picture. It'll last longer, you know. So, any questions? Nope.
Very good, Kathy. Very
Short
good.
and sweet.
Like it. That's good because that kind of explains the point system a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's the.
Well, she couldn't figure out how to put it on, but everyone else can't figure out how to not share. She figured that one out very quickly. So.
You want, I'll show you what the software looks like.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's check that out.
Yes, Tim.
see if I can get sharing going here. All these little pictures. Cool. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
So here's where you put the call sign in. Just like that, then you hit enter. So call sign, class, section, hit enter, and it logs it just like that. And it's reading the frequency at the bottom there. You see it, band mode frequency that comes directly from the radio. So if I spin the frequency up a little here, it's going to change the frequency in a second.
Oh, and look, the LAX turns blue because we've already done a LAX then.
Oh, yeah, you can hover over that. Let me do that. And it will show you on the left-hand side, Los Angeles total equals 3, bands 40 is 1, 15 equals 2, because those are the bands I logged. Phone equals 3. So it tells you all the information about it.
So show us what happens when you put in the same call.
All right, let's try that.
Because if you re-enter,
So it basically says possible duplicate, and sure enough it is. And it actually said duplicate in my headphones too.
Oh, wow. It has an audible, huh?
Yeah, it talked. Anyway,
so it tells you that goes red when you didn't put in the designator. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
but yeah, it actually says duplicate in my headphones.
So this is the program we have too.
So on the right side, it'll show you your score statistics on the upper right. And when you have this on a shared file between all the stations, you just put put laptops at each one and connect them to the same network and connect to that shared file. It'll actually give you the entire statistic. One's supposed to act as one will be your main computer that kind of acts as the interesting part of this thing. You can have multiple computers set up, and if you actually have what's considered the master fail, if the shared drive is still there, it'll let another computer take over as the master.
So I just switched to a different band and put in K6EV, and it put in the class and the section automatically, just like Ken said.
Right. So you don't even have to add that because you've worked that station. It'll, even though you're on a new band, it's going to give you a brand. It's going to automatically fill everything out. That's why I like this software so much. And it's not complicated. It's just
very simple to use. Yeah.
Even somebody like me can use it.
Even Tim can do it.
I've never used it before, but I figured it out in 10 minutes. So.
Well, that was from going from loading it, doing the setup. So, like I say, the hardest part of this thing is connecting just networking the computers, and all you do is connect them all to the same network. We'll have the pineapple up there, and it's what do we call that thing? The goat pin. So you connect them all to the goat pin and share we'll use an external drive. Just put an external drive with a shared file in there for Field Day 2020 and have them all logged to that drive, and all of it comes up. So all the scoring on the right will come up, and as anybody else that's worked it, it'll automatically, you're on 40 meters and someone's worked it on 20 meters, it's automatically going to fill your class and section in. So it's
right. It's very slick, man.
Or if someone's worked it on the same band, you're going to know right away. So it's he put a lot of thought into this. He's tried to keep it as simple as he can. And the N1MM does, all you got to do is hook a bunch of computers together. If they're on the same network, they'll automatically decide. The problem is that software is so incredibly complicated that it's something you don't really want to put new people on in Field Day. This one here, everyone can get used to it very quickly. Even if you're paper logging and you got the computer off to the side, you can go back in and start logging those things as you get, as someone's doing a hunt and pounce or pressing that, pressing that button that Mark was pressing to do a CQ call on the 7300, where you're just using your recording, you got that, you're going to have a little bit of time to actually go in and log that stuff you've written down. So it's because it's that simple, I really like it. And like I say, we've actually got we've got the license to use it on the club call. So it's not a 45-day deal. Some people working at home, it's a 45-day free license. So you can do it that way. But if you just want to use the field day one and actually license it, it's less than $10 if you're just using the field day version of the software. I think it's $8.50 or something like that. It's less, like I say, less than $10 to use it just for field day 2020. Because it's just that's just the field day module. You know, he's got, I forgot how many modules. There's like 70 modules. We pay $50 and we can use any of the modules we want, winter field day and all that stuff. So that's why Kathy and I just paid for that. So we'd be able to use it further, because we go out and do rookie roundup and all the other stuff, and he's got modules for all of that. So
You have to unmute Jack or Dave.
oh, there's Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Is he muted? You're muted.
Yes,
There you
I'm
go.
here.
Is Dave
So it looks
muted?
like that software is a good option for us.
Did we lose
Mark?
we lost Mark again?
His laptop probably overheated again, huh?
Did you unmute Dave?
Dave's okay.
Sorry.
That was a good presentation. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Do you even
Well,
like mine?
The interesting part is
Yours was very good too. Yeah. Only
Oh,
question
Tim.
I got on yours is not yours, I guess, Tim. I noticed on the calls in there, they had the date and the call sign, but the time was 02 something. What time is that? Is that just
UTC.
UTC.
that's UTC.
Right. So, but
That's
we're
what time it is right
saying
now.
that if you don't know the UTC, then just put the regular time and I'll
But the-
figure out the
Well,
UTC.
well, the program puts it in automatically for you. I mean, you don't
If
have
you're
to do
using the
anything.
program, it does it. It automatically does it.
So the
And
UTC
if you happen to have the laptop connected to the CAT system on the computer, it'll automatically do your frequency too.
Bruce
What you
has a
did.
question.
So,
Oh,
you've
you
got
have
it.
it
You've got it
computer?
connected to your computer. I mean,
Oh,
to
yeah.
the 7300.
Oh yeah, I configured it all. It took me 2 minutes.
Bruce has a
That's the
question.
interesting part. He put that together, hooked up the CAT control, and did a presentation in 10 minutes.
Bruce has a question.
I mean, it
Well,
was,
I was just gonna say about the time. My UTC here is 1426, so obviously that's wrong, huh?
Your UTC is 1426.
It
I
should
think you're
be
wrong.
226.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah.
on the
We're-
24-hour clock?
Imagine what we are. We're
Well, I have the regular time on the left side, and then I thought I had the UTC on the right, but 1426 is wrong. It
That's
should be
wrong.
02.
You're supposed to
It
be
should be,
7
yeah.
hours.
now imagine Pacific time is minus 7 hours from UTC.
Right.
So you go to 2 o'clock and take away 7 hours, and what do you have?
Okay, so it's 227 right now. Is that right?
On the UTC.
Correct.
Yes, 227.
I don't see an O. It just says 227. So leave it there then, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Kenny fixed mine.
Well, I wasn't sure. I forget who told me it was 6 hours different. So
Oh, I better take off that.
see, that's what I got now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
that's right.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Finally. All right. 227. All right. I'm going to get out now because I want to go eat.
All right. And
I tried
I'm
to
net
get back to-
control, so,
I'll get back before the net.
all right. Hi,
Say
how
hi.
are you?
Oh wow.
Say hi.
Jack's got a future ham right there,
That's right.
checking out Grandpa's gear.
Uh-oh.
And saying, oh, if I get a license, this will all be mine one day.
Yep, that's right. We'll put it in the will.
I think so.
Oh, Mark's back. Hey, Mark. Did you overheat?
What, you don't want to talk? You're just looking.
Did you overheat, Mark?
Yeah, I did it again.
We were
Just as we
guessing
keep
you
doing it, I
overheated.
fix it.
Okay.
Did you overheat?
Want me to make you a turkey burger real quick?
No. Is that as much recording as we needed to do?
Yeah.
Post that.
I like the last one better, so if you're gonna post any of them, post tonight. That one went a lot smoother than.
Who's up on top?
Let me, yeah, while I'm still recording, I gotta end my recording, stop recording.
I didn't want to step
Right
on your
there.
field day toes, Mark.